Hello folks, today we're going to talk about the ecclesiastic architecture of one of the 10 churches in the Philippines. Without further ado, let's start. Number 1 is we're going to talk about the Baraswing Church, or also known as Our Lady of Mount Carmel Parish. The church was constructed during the time of Father Juan Giron and was designed by Miguel Magpayo. The Baraswing Church in Malolos, Bulacan was built in 1630 in Malolos City and founded by the Augustinian missionaries in 1859. The original church was burned during the outbreak of the Philippine Revolution. However, it was renovated and restored by Father Miguel de Vera in 1894. The architectural style of Baraswing Church is a Romanesque and a Renaissance architecture. So that 3 major events in the Philippine history happened in this church. One is the First Philippine Congress. 2 is the drafting of the Malolos Constitution and the inauguration of the First Philippine Republic of our first President of the Philippines, General Emilio Aguinaldo. And now, let's talk about for the second church, which is the Binondo Church in Manila, also known as the Minor Basilica of St. Lorenzo Ruiz. The original structure of the church, formerly known as Our Lady of the Most Holy Rosary Parish, or the Minor Basilica, or the National Shrine of the San Lorenzo Ruiz, was constructed in 1596, founded by the Dominican friars. It is one of the oldest places of Christian worship in the Philippines. Restoration of the dome by Domingo Cruz y Gonzalez in 1781. The original structure was torn down in a few times during the Chinese Revolt in 1603. During the brief occupation of the British bombarded the structure in 1762. During the earthquake a century after, and during the American occupation when they bombed Manila. Third is the Las Piñas Church in Metro Manila, or also known as the St. Joseph Parish or the Bamboo Organ Church. It was originally designed by Father Diego Serra in 1792 and restored by architect Francisco Manyosa in 1975. These were known as the House of the Las Piñas Bamboo Organ. In 1975, Father Diego Serra de la Virgen del Carmen, native Spain, started building the church made from adobe, volcanic stones in the earthquake Baroque architectural style. We know that between 1971 and 1975, the church was restored by architect Francisco Manyosa and partners with architect Ludwig Alvarez through the administration of Reverend Father Mark Lesage to bring back the 19th century look to the church and to reposition the main altar to the face to the people. Number 4 is the Malati Church in Manila. Early builders, Augustinians 1591, were building by Colombian fathers 1950s, a Baroque-style church which faces a small park and beyond the Manila Bay. It was built originally on this spot in the 16th century by the Augustinians and is one of the oldest churches in Manila outside of the Intramuros. Malati Church is dedicated to Nuestra Señora de Remedios, or Our Lady of Remedies, patroness of women in childbirth. The birth statue of the Virgin Mary in her role as Our Lady of Remedies was brought from Spain in 1624 and stands at the altar. Did you know that the Our Lady of Remedies Parish, also known as the Malati Church, is the only one of the 2 that has twisted columns, has in effect a retablo type of facade, to the other being the Franciscan Church in Daraga. Our 5th is the Manila Cathedral, or known as the Minor Basilica and Metropolitan Cathedral on the Immaculate Conception in Intramuros, Manila. Builders Dominicans then converted into the cathedral by Father Domingo Salazar. It is known as Basilica of Immaculate Conception. The cathedral was known as the Church of Our Lady of Immaculate under the patronage of the La Purissima Immaculada Concepcion. The present Manila Cathedral, situated at the heart of the walled city of Intramuros, has gone several major reconstructions since inception. The Neo-Romanesque Byzantine Cathedral has long been the seat of Archbishop in the Philippines. Manila Cathedral was designed by architect Fernando Ocampo, and did you know that the Plaza de Roma is surrounded by the Manila Cathedral to the south of the Palacio del Gobernador to the west? And the number 6 is the Capo Church in Capo, Manila. Early builders was the Franciscanians, that the original plan was by design by architect Juan Apil in 1933. Is famous home for the shrine of the Black Nazarene, a dark statue of Jesus Christ, many faithfully claim to be miraculous. In 1886, the Franciscan missionaries built the first church on the site using the bamboo for the frame and the nipa palm for the thatching. The original church was burned down in 1639 and was replaced by a stronger edifice. It was partially destroyed by an earthquake in 1863. Vision of Reverend Eusebio de Leon and Reverend Manuel Rojas, the third church was completed in 1899. Know that Magdalena Castillo began the reconstruction of the church from the plan prepared by the Filipino artist architect Juan Apil. Architect Jose Maria Zaragoza enlarged the church and changed the design of the lateral walls. That is the San Agustin Church in Intramuros, Manila, originally known as Iglesias de San Pablo, founded in 1571, is the oldest stone church built in 1589. Agustin Church measures 67.15 meters long and 24.93 meters wide. The interior is in the form of a Latin cross. The architectural style of this church is a Baroque architecture. It has 14 sides of chapels and a trompe-l'oeil ceiling painted in 1875 by Italian artists Cesare Alberoni and Giovanni Di Bella. Geometric designs and religious themes explode across the ceiling, creating a three-dimensional effect with the paint and imagination alone. Far of the end of the church, a gilded retablo or reredo takes center stage. It is also gilded and decorated with pineapple and flowers, a true Baroque original, built by Juan Macayas. We have the San Sebastian Church in Capo, Manila. Sebastian Church is the first iron church in the world in 1891. Builders Agustinians recollects the engineer Don Genaro Palacios Higuera designed the present church. Also formerly known as the Basilica Minor de San Sebastian, a Roman Catholic minor basilica, the seat of the parish San Sebastian and the national shrine of Our Lady of Mount Carmel, example of a revival Gothic architecture in the Philippines. It is only all-steel church of basilica in Asia. In the 1970s, the famed architect I.M. Pei had visited Manila to confirm reports he had heard that Eiffel Tower had designed an all-steel church in Asia. I.M. Pei inspected the San Sebastian Church. He reportedly pronounced that the metal fixtures and overall structures were indeed designed by Eiffel. Number 9 is the Santa Cruz Church in Plaza Santa Cruz, Manila. Builders Jesuits Father Agustin de Mendoza reconstruct the church in 1868. Before 1784, the King of Spain gave the deeds about 2 square meter land that was part of the Hacienda de Mijalige to the San Lorenzo Hospital, which served as caring home of lepers in Manila at that time. It was awarded to the Jesuits in 1581, then later on June 20, 1608, they built a church where the present Santa Cruz Church stands. The church serves as a parish of Chinese immigrants to Manila, in which many of them were converted into Catholic faith. The architectural style of this church is a Baroque-style architecture. That Lady of Pilar Parish, commonly known as the Santa Cruz Church and also designated as the Archdiocese Shrine of the Blessed Sacrament. And for our number 10, it is the Santo Domingo Church in Quezon City, Quezon Avenue. It is also known as the Feast of La Naval, celebrated annually on October 7. The first Santo Domingo Church was built in 1587 to be head of the Commission Church of the Dominican missionaries who arrived in Manila that year. The church was named in the honor of the founder of the Dominican order, after whom the Dominicans were named, the Spanish priest in Saint Dominic, Domingo in Spanish to de Guzman. The architectural style of this Santo Domingo Church was built in the Art Deco combined with the Spanish modern style, which was unlike the Baroque churches built during the Spanish period. The employed the last technique in reinforced concrete building. Number 4, 2012, the Santo Domingo Church is a national cultural treasure by the National Museum of the Philippines. The church has significance as a modern cultural landmark that serves as a living monument to the Filipino artistry. And that's the 10 churches in the Philippines Ecclesiastic Architecture. I hope you enjoy watching the video at the same time have the fun learning with the 10 churches in the Philippines. So, I hope that you could have some time to visit the 10 churches of the Ecclesiastic Architecture here in the Philippines. Thank you and goodbye, folks!